Feeling good should be natural and easy. This is why Trumi has taken some of the best US ingredients and infused them into one of the most delicious gummies on the shelf. Nootropics shouldn't have to taste like they come from the earth. With Trumi, you don't have to worry about that. These delicious treats can help you conquer the days and stay on track with whatever the world throws at you. Find your true me with Trumi and explore the natural world of nootropics. So that's troomy.com. TROOMY.com.
I have so many regrets about this night. But she knocked on my door. I got up and opened the door. It's just right over there. And she was like, Erin, I can't get in the house still. Can I please just stay with you? And I told her, I'm sorry, Andrea. No, you can't. And and she cried. And it's hard, because you never want to. And I was used to always being the one, to help her. She accepted that I said no. And that was really the first time I had told her no. So I wanted to make sure that she, was okay as she left my house. So I went to the front of my house. I looked out my kitchen window. I was hoping, I just wanted to check on her and see if she was better, if she was, and stayed up. But the hardest thing is just thinking, like, what if I would have done things differently? But the last time I saw my sister, she was looking at her phone, walking away on the sidewalk. She was kind of like doing this, like scrolling through her phone as she walked away. We were able to see that she made it back to my mom's house through Google Dashboard. She had an Android phone and she used Gmail. So from her laptop, it was also logged into her Gmail. There's kind of a difference in opinions, and I'm not even sure how this could happen. But our PI thinks that one thing happened according to her Google dashboard, and then the police think something different, or they just have not been able to find the same information. So what the police think happened is that Andrea was at our mother's house until about 6:30 in the morning, and then her phone shut off, and we don't know what happened after that. Well, I guess it would be Andrea or her phone. I don't
Right.
know if that means that she was active on her phone using it or if it was just turned on in that location. I'm not positive on that.
It would be in that location about geocaching when you're searching for around those areas. It can actually be a mile within because it goes off the cell towers.
Okay. Um, and then the private investigator, it shows that what he thinks, he told me that in his original, the first time he analyzed this, he thought the same thing that the police thought. But, when you can't figure out something like this, what you do is you go back to the beginning over and over again and you make sure you don't miss anything. So that's what he was doing one night. And he said that the new timeline, I guess there was a drop down box that was missed or something that shows more specific information. And what he said that he saw was 10 minutes after she arrived at my mom's house, that she left again and that she went somewhere close by in the same neighborhood. And we haven't really made that information public, but it's somewhere within Audubon Park, the same neighborhood that my mom lives in. And it shows that she was there for a few hours before her phone went off, or her phone. We have several different theories about that, about what could have happened. We have a friend that we talked to said that Andrea asked to get picked up from a gas station, and the direction that she went walking would have been in the same direction of that gas station. So we wonder, like, what if someone picked her up and threw her phone out right at that spot, and it was just a coincidence that it was at that address. She's a very social person. We What if, there were some people, it's a really big porch, and it's, a nice place. We were wondering if maybe some people were sitting out there hanging out, and what if she just struck up a conversation, or maybe it could even be somebody that she knew that we just didn't realize she knew them.
Yeah.
um it was garbage day, so this was would have been a Monday night. So this, was really like in the early hours of Tuesday morning by this
Hmm.
point. So people, it would be normal for someone to sit out their garbage can. So they would be there early Tuesday morning for the garbage men to pick it up.
Hmm.
So we speculated it's also possible that someone took her phone and dropped it off and just threw it in a garbage can, or maybe the person, if someone picked her up, they could have just thrown it there. Not really sure exactly what happened, or if that even is what happened, because the police are saying something different. So,
Mm.
um, as far as the police goes, of course, I want to be judgmental because my sister's not here right now. Um, but I do know that they also have struggles of their own. They're very short staffed. There's one person in the missing persons department for all of Louisville, and that's terrible. And before that,
That's
there were only,
terrible.
yeah, before that, there were only 4 people. So it's gotten really bad. And there's also a lack of support within the community because of just recent events that have happened. Obviously, there's a lot of mistrust of the police. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. The way I feel about it is police are human beings just like we are. And,
Yeah.
you know, in any profession, there's going to be good ones and bad ones.
Exactly.
So I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt that they really want to do the right thing until they show me otherwise, and these are detectives. They're not like patrol officers. So it's a completely different story. But we've had just a really big struggle, just the lack of community support of the police. I feel like that hurts all missing people and victims of crimes.
Yeah.
So that's been a really unfortunate thing for us through this. But yeah, we're just really doing everything we can. Anytime someone offers help, I take them up on it and do what I can, to get the word out. We found Andrea's Angels. I'll tell you who we are. Andrea's Angels is a concept that my dad came up with and that I executed this. So we have a volunteer group called Andrea's Angels. We talk to each other in a group chat and Messenger on Facebook. If anybody sees this and wants to join, you can send me a message. Knabel on all platforms. Facebook is the main one that I use. And just ask me if I can add you to Andrea's Angels, and I can add you. We brainstorm ideas on how to raise awareness, how to find her, just pretty much anything. Like, let's say you're a former police officer, you might have some insight as to what we can do. Or if you're a graphic designer, you might be good at designing posters, things like that. Or you can just be a normal person like me that just wants to help people. So basically, that's what we do. We all just kind of come together. We also share missing posters because I get my account every now and then. My account gets like blocked from sharing things because I'll share things like 70 times in a row
Yeah.
until, and then it'll mark it as spam when, it's really not spam. I have them helping me share things so that it's not just me doing it. So that it's really, they've done amazing things. Like I'm really blown away about all the caring, people that didn't even know Andrea that want to make a difference in this world. So there's been some good that have came out of it. They helped me find PIs for the missing. So this organization, they're dedicated to helping people like me find their loved ones. A, a guy, his name is Lou, who he still helps us right now. He said that he would be helping me find Andrea if he was local, but he's actually in Massachusetts. He found some retired police officers that do PI work now. They met with us. I typed out, it was like 5 pages worth of notes of all the most likely situations that we think, and I added notes about why we think that and how they're connected and things like that. And we sat down and had like a 2-hour meeting with them, and 2 days later, they quit. Both of them quit. So
What?
that was, yeah, that was my worst nightmare, because I talked to Lou about it beforehand and I was like, I'm nervous about this because this is all very sensitive information. Things that
Right.
if the public knows about it, it could, damage our chances of finding her. You don't want the bad guys knowing every step you make, you know? So my worst fear was like, what if I tell these new people that I don't know all this information and then what if they choose not to do it? And then suddenly, everybody knows all this stuff that we want only the police to. Lou assured me that, it's against their code of ethics. Like they won't share stuff regardless. But he was just as shocked as we were that they quit. I mean, these are people that are familiar with this area that used to do this for a living. So we're confused about like why that even happened. They basically told us that they felt like the police had it under control and that it was going to be solved soon. And we're thinking like that doesn't even make sense. At this point, I think it had already been 2 years at least, or probably over 2 years, and she still wasn't found. And so I was devastated by that, as you can imagine. I mean, I was crying. I can remember like the grief and this torment. It can just hit you at random times. So I can remember standing outside of Tumbleweed, a restaurant, just crying in public. Like like I just stepped outside to get as much privacy as I could. And I was just talking to him about it. I was like, I don't understand. I had so much hope and it just all crumbled. And
Yeah.
he told me that they truly felt like the police had it under control and they felt like they were doing the right thing by not they thought they were interfering by helping. But he told me that he would do whatever he can from Massachusetts. And he told me if 6 months pass and Andrea is still not found, that the board, they agreed that they would allow him to find a new PI for us. So I believe it's been 4 months by now.
That's
So
still crazy that just two of them quit like that. Like,
yeah, yeah, like they were very nice and very professional. And they almost sounded like angry with me when I was like, why are you doing this? They sounded like
really?
they just had this huge change of tone. And
That is bizarre that they just, after getting all that information, just quitting like that. I mean, I think that would make some people speculate if like the police had anything involved with this. I mean, is that something that you think too, or?
there is an Audubon Park police officer that's being investigated for misconduct. And it was like aggression towards women. And that's one of the things we had on our list that we brought up during this meeting. And one of the police said that they knew him and they said, oh, it would be like reactionary. He said that someone gave him the middle finger and it was road rage and that he kind of retaliated and pulled them over when he was off duty. And that he was kind of aggressive towards her. And he was like, "Oh, it's nothing like he was a serial killer or something. He was just kind of overly aggressive." And I'm thinking that doesn't make sense to me, like because Andrea is a loud person who will speak her mind regardless of who
Mhm.
you are. So what if this police officer saw her walking alone and wanted to do something he shouldn't be doing and she told him like, are you out of your mind? Like I could easily see Andrea telling off
Yeah.
someone and something bad happening. So it
Or even meeting up at that gas station. I mean, there could be a
yeah,
chance they were both there at the same time. And
right. Yeah, because this gas station would have been like right on the edge of Audubon Park. And one of Andrea's angels is actually in this area that he used to be a police officer, but he said that they do patrol on the outskirts of Audubon Park. So they're not only limited to Audubon Park. They also do surrounding areas. So yeah, he could have been. The police, I'm sure the police, they will like sit at gas stations or
yeah.
they get gas and all the normal stuff. So it is possible. We went to the FBI over this and then also a human trafficking lead that we have on Andrea. And it's I cried when we told them the story, just because it's so hard, reliving these terrible things. And so far we feel like we get turned away every time, no matter who we talk to. they have some kind of reason not to help us. So I was extremely upset. Like it was hard for me to even get the words out. Luckily my dad was there, just because it's hard being turned down. I'm the kind of person, I can be stubborn. I don't like asking for help. I want to be able to fix it all myself. So
Yeah.
it's a really big struggle asking someone to help you, especially when you have like the worst feeling like they're probably going to say no like everyone else. So that was very stressful for me. So we did that. Um, they agreed to meet with my dad because I think it was on a Saturday, and they didn't have anyone available. And they ended up saying that there's not enough proof of either one in order for them to help. And they handed it back over to LMPD. So again, it seems like there's already a terrible, horrific tragedy happening. And it just feels like it gets compounded in every way possible over and over again. And then the docu-series that I was telling you about earlier,
Yeah.
that it's helped us a great deal with raising awareness. We've even gotten a lead that we wouldn't have gotten because of all the awareness that it has raised, that we believe is credible. But it's hurt us because of all the misinformation, that was added to it. And some of the things that those PIs were saying to us before they chose not to work Andrea's case, it sounded like they were getting it from that docu-series. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that's been that's been a big struggle. There's a lot of hate towards my family, and a lot of people blaming us because I didn't help Andrea that night. And then a
But
lot
you
of people,
already beat yourself up over that. Like,
yeah, yeah, people don't realize that everything that they say, it's stuff that I've thought about millions of times. They're just basically rubbing my nose in something that I already feel terrible about. Then they also direct a lot of hate at my little sister and her fiance, with them being at the time they were at the last place that we think she was. And obviously I don't know what happened, you know, but as far as what I know about my little sister is that she loved Andrea to death just like I do. So like that's absolutely ridiculous in my mind. But I can't
yeah.
say I know 100% because I wasn't there. So that's been a really terrible thing for me, having to live my life. And holidays are very stressful now because I don't know what happened. Only some people in in my family and none of her friends are helping. So it's just really hard. It makes you feel very isolated when you're dealing with things like this. It's something that a lot of people cannot relate to. And I think a lot of people feel like the problem is too big, and that they feel like there's nothing they can do about it. They feel like, I guess they doubt things like awareness. They think that it's not going to help. They think people are not going to come forward.
And that's not true at
I,
all.
I've seen it help people already with the sharing posts. I've seen where, someone sees a, a, a missing post and they say, oh my God, the girl, the 16-year-old girl who's missing is staying the night at my house. And I didn't know that she was supposed to be at home right now, like I thought it was okay. Like I've seen where that happens, and they get happy endings if they get their
Yeah.
children, you know.
I did a story on um this boy who went missing when he was 17, and he was reunited with his family when he was 23.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
What
all
happened?
because of social media. So what happened essentially is he actually did run away. He was a runaway. He had been homeless, and then since then he kind of been living from couch to couch on the streets and stuff like that. So he ended up making a Facebook page but under a false name. But his sister like never gave up. Like she was ruthless, and she ended up like was reverse Google searching his image and found this Facebook page that was her brother's photos. And she's like, okay, that is him. Like, because it has old photos too. Like, that is my brother. Or they're using his photos, and that is completely messed up, you know? So she like reached out to him and was like, hey, but she also didn't want to scare him away and be like, you're not coming home, or afraid that it wasn't him. But she ended up convincing him to come home. And he
Um,
came home and told his story, said that he got in a fight with his family. He decided he was just going to run away and start a new life. And then, but once he talked to his sister, he realized he did want to come home. He's like, I thought about coming home a lot, but it just, I messed up so bad that I didn't also want to admit that.
that's
So,
amazing. It makes me really happy when I hear about people, having a good outcome like that and getting their loved ones back. That's with Andrea's situation, we have no proof that something, that the worst happened. We have no proof of any type of foul play. But the terrible thing is there's also no proof of life. So
right.
it's a terrible, we just don't know. And so your mind just thinks about every possibility constantly. Usually, like I gravitate towards like the most recent lead, like whatever is like a plausible lead. That's the one that's usually more on my mind. So it goes, it's like a roller coaster, really.
So, do you think that is a possibility that she just ran away?
Well, the police have told me that goes against human nature, that it's really hard to not talk to every single person you've ever met in your life. And Andrea is very dedicated to her children. Like her children think that she's something bad happened to her. Like that's the only thing that makes sense in their mind because of how close they were. They don't think that's what would happen, and that's the way we feel is that if it was possible for Andrea to be here, she would be here. I still have hope. That would be a miracle. I've actually had dreams. Luckily, all the dreams I have about Andrea are good ones. I've had dreams before. One of them, I was standing on my mom's front porch and I saw Andrea going door to door and she was wearing this dress and she had her hair curled and it looked like she looked beautiful. She looked like she had just left church or something, you know? And I saw her and I ran over there and I was like, what are you doing? Oh my God. And I gave her a hug and I was like, I'm so mad at you, but I also love you. I'm so glad you're back. Like it was like this crazy mixture of like happy feelings. I was joking about like being mad. I was like, I'm mad, but I love you. Thank you so much for coming back.
You're mad,
And
but I'm just so happy that you're here right now.
yeah, and I was like laughing and crying, and she was too. And I was like, "What happened?" I was like, "It doesn't matter, like it doesn't matter what happened, but I do want to know, like, what happened." And she said that she knew she was doing bad stuff and she was making bad decisions, and she said I had to get away for a while, and she went on like some kind of religious retreat or something. It was in another country, and she said she went away and she got better and she was like now I'm telling other people about it, kind of like a religious type of
Mhm.
retreat thing. And she said that she had to do that to get better for us and for her kids. And the terrible thing about when you have really happy dreams like this is I wake up and realize it didn't happen and then I wake up and cry. And I've had that happen so many times. It makes you wish you could go back to sleep. Yes, I've had other dreams where I'm driving down the street, and one thing I do, like if I'm going through an area where I know that I've hung up a missing poster, it's a habit as I'm driving to glance over and make sure it's still there. If it's not, I have a bunch of them in my car where I get out and I'll staple up a new one. And I have one of Andrea's angels actually gave me a stool where I can hang it up higher where people can't reach it. So I'll use that too. So I was just driving around looking at the missing posters and looking at people that were walking. Those are both, things I incorporate when I'm driving now, just in case it's Andrea. And I saw her walking and I just pulled over on a busy street and ran out and gave her a hug. And like sometimes when you're in a dream and you get like a really extreme emotion, it wakes you up. Have you ever had that
Mhm.
happen? So that's
Yeah.
what happened. Like I instantly woke up and started crying. Like it's terrible and it's almost traumatic because you feel like
Yeah.
you lose them all over again because they were there and then they're gone again. So it's just
Yeah.
really hard. It's not something, this is the first time I've ever lost someone that was this close to me. She was my right hand person through everything. When we were kids, we had the same friends growing up, same neighborhood. a lot of the times it would be like I'm friends with the younger family member and she would
Mhm.
be friends with like the cousin, the big cousin, or I knew the little brother and she knew the big brother, like it was just we were connected in so many different ways. So it was just I don't know. Like I have so many moments where different things happen in my life and I want to tell Andrea about it. And it's crazy. It's been 3 years now and it still happens. Like one day this man, like I went to my mom's house to pick something up. I can't remember. We're a pretty close family. So like sometimes I'll even just stop by over there. So I was leaving because my mom wasn't there. And some man was like, "Oh, hi, I'm so and so." And I'm like, "Who's this guy and why is he introducing himself?" My mom's been single for a very long time. Um, and Andrea and I would always joke about how she needs a boyfriend. So I was like, "Who's this person? Who's this person?" Why is he here? Why is he introducing himself? And I was like, maybe she has a boyfriend. And I was like, Andrea's going to be so happy. I need to tell her about this. Andrea's going to be all over this. And I was like, oh my God, she's not here. So like I still have those moments where like I think about her and I think like I need to talk to her. I need to go. And there's nowhere that these feelings can go. So it's really hard. It ended up just being one of her coworkers. So I was disappointed about that. I was like, darn it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's terrible when you have these strong desires to talk to your person and they're gone. Um,
I completely understand that. I actually had dreams a week before my dad died that he was going to die. And so, I mean, I was only 9, but I like, and I still have the journal and stuff, and I blame myself for so many things because, like, in the dreams, it was the day that I didn't have breakfast with him, and then he goes to work, and then he dies, and that's exactly what happened. And he died in a car crash, and
it's so terrible. I'm sorry to hear that.
it's okay. But I understand, like, it's been 14 years, and there's still times where I think, man, I wish, he was here to even see my kids. Or, man, like, that'd be because me and him were like, I was his like little girl, and my sister was more, connected to my mom and always kind of has been. So it, I don't know. And I have the most memories with him because I'm the oldest, but
Yeah.
I understand that. I understand. I mean, there was a few times too where I would see him walking, like I thought it was him walking down the street, and I just go up and randomly start hugging random people. So,
So
with your
I hate that. I wish
flyers, do you have a QR code that you put on them and link it to the website?
we have the the graphic designer. She somehow knows how to do that. I know that we have one. The QR code takes you to a discussion group. I
Mhm.
think she has a new one because what I started doing on social media is like I've basically joined every single group on Facebook in existence. Like anytime I see a
Yeah.
group, I join it, and I share the missing poster periodically in it. I really don't care. I don't know. Some people see this as rude and they judge me for it, but like I feel like it's like you're in a panic. It's like I care more about finding my sister than I care about what random people think about me, basically.
Right.
So I share it, and if they don't like it, they can remove it. And if I do it
Right.
again and they still don't like it, they can just take me out of the group. That's their job. If they're the admin of the group, I let them decide that. Or if
Yeah.
they decide to have a heart and have sympathy, they can keep it. So that's the way I look at it. It's an emergency, and I feel like in an emergency that people should, have some grace and have some empathy,
Right.
and allow exceptions every now and then. So, with that being said, there's a lot of gossip groups out there about my sister because people. I'm sure you've probably noticed that there's people out there that use this as entertainment, and it's okay to if you're there because you want to learn about it, you're wanting to protect your family, or maybe hear about other people going through similar things that you are, or maybe you just want to help people and know about what they're going through. But if you're here to just treat it like it's a game of guess who and judge and criticize everyone, that's not okay. Like there's a
No.
right way and a wrong way. to do this. And there's a lot of people out there that I've noticed a lot of them have a lot of problems of their own that they're kind of escaping, and they're kind of using our tragedy for as fun, and just saying terrible things. Not all the groups are like that though. There's some of them where that they have allowed me to raise awareness, and they end up making me an admin of it. So I
Nice.
have different groups that started out as like a gossip group that now I use them to raise awareness.
To be
Just
like,
because
hey, this is the record straight. What are
yeah.
some of those things that were in that documentary that you want to set the record straight for?
There was this big scene where Joe Fanciulli was analyzing possibly fake money that came from my sister's storage unit, and he was claiming that she was probably working for the cartel or going undercover looking for a missing person in the cartel, and she was involved in making fake currency. Well, the money that he was analyzing under like a telescope and everything, looking at it really hard, it had this gigantic red Chinese symbol on it. Like there's no way you could miss it. And here this guy is, he claims to be like a specialist in analyzing documents for decades. Like, why are you using a telescope when it clearly has these gigantic Chinese symbols on it that I can see with my eye right now? Like ridiculous stuff. Um, like it's almost laughable if it wasn't such a terrible situation. Like it's crazy. So that was one. And that dollar bill, it's called Chinese theater money. If you look it up, it's basically like Monopoly money. It's money that people use in like movies and stuff, where one side
Yeah.
of it looks real, the other side of it looks fake. That's just, or like people might use it in music videos and stuff. But it was found like in a storage unit that was also her ex-boyfriend's stuff was also in there, and her children's stuff. So it was like multiple, and I think even some of her roommates' stuff was in there. So the stuff in there was not even all hers, and it's like play money. It wasn't anything that is illegal, basically, is what I'm getting at. So I felt like that was dramatized to be to look like something that it wasn't.
Which that only
Oh,
hurts the case. Like that
I
doesn't
agree. Yeah, I mean, not to mention, and what if it put us in danger because here they are
right.
talking about something that isn't even true with the cartel and everything. Like that could be really serious. And the cartel is real. That's another thing. People think that it's all make believe, but it's not, fortunately. Another thing that they did was okay. So the way Dad and I handle Andrea missing is we feel like everyone has a role in it. Like my role is to raise awareness. If I find any information, I give it to the police because I can't arrest people, obviously.
Yeah.
I can't interrogate someone. That's not my role in this. And the same is true for like the producers of that show. Their role is to raise awareness. They're not gonna, in my opinion, they're not gonna be able to solve this. It's going to take the police or some private investigators to figure out what happened because they have the authority, they have the tools. So Joe Fanciulli, he's a retired homicide detective. He told me and Dad that he would look for Andrea until she was found, and it was another situation where we saw like this might be the only chance that we have to find her.
The
So
glimmer of hope.
yeah, so there's certain things that I say, like us talking right now, everything I'm telling you is in order to raise awareness. If I'm talking to a police officer, I tell them everything. I tell them things, sensitive information, you know, phone numbers of anybody, first and last names of everybody who I think could possibly have done something wrong. I tell them absolutely everything. Obviously I'm not going to say that here because that would give away things where they could get away with it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we treated Joe Fancioli like the police because he said that he was going to investigate and that we could trust him. And he recorded everything that we said. And I trusted him. I knew that he was recording me, but I trusted him to use that only for investigating and not for exploiting my family for attention. Unfortunately, he chose to say absolutely everything that my dad and I told him on or international TV. And he did that. What he did was he pretended like he investigated and figured it out on his own, when in reality, it's all stuff that we literally told him. And he played it off like we were secretive, and I don't know how he thinks, how anybody thinks that he figured out stuff, like it's not like he's psychic or something. And I guess they think his interviewing skills were so great that he managed to pull information out of our minds that we didn't want to share. I don't know what people are thinking, but yeah, basically everything that he, quote unquote discovered, it was stuff that we told him in confidence. All stuff that the police already know about that the public just did not know about. He played it off like we were all secretive. He basically he made it seem like Andrea was like this shape-shifting chameleon type person that can change who she is based on who she's around. So some of her friends are dangerous cartel people. Some of them are normal people, like just very judgmental, I guess,
Yeah.
Um, and it made me angry. And I've had people say, like, well, why would you get mad at them for saying that she's street smart? Because that's another thing they would say. Like, her street smarts helped her find missing people. Well, she didn't find any missing people, to my knowledge. She was just doing the same kind of thing we're doing right now, raising awareness,
Right.
you know, stuff like, you try to, you do the best you can, but it wasn't like she had some kind of superpower that the police didn't have. But anyways, Andrea was not street smart. It just made me mad that they were misrepresenting her. I mean, someone that is getting taken advantage of left and right is a victim,
Right. Exactly. I appreciate you coming on, and I'll definitely join your Andrew's Angels group, and
Thank
I'll
you.
post it in here too. So if anyone wants to that's listening, you're more than welcome to join it.
I always like to try to end it on a call to action, how people can help if they want to. We have a lot of different ways that you can help. I'm now raising awareness for Andrea on most platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So whichever one you use, please just share missing posters for me. You can follow any of my accounts. If you're wanting to be more involved, you can join Andrea's Angels for brainstorming ideas on how to find her and how to raise awareness. We also have t-shirts. I'm wearing one of them right now. They have different styles. There's long sleeves and short sleeves. If you go to bonfire.com and search Andrea Knabel, you can order a t-shirt to help raise awareness.
Awesome.
Those really help a lot. If you're local, we do have missing posters that I laminate, and the youngest members of Andrea's Angels also the kids enjoy laminating. So we have hundreds of posters now laminated, thanks to all the volunteers that have helped me with this. Oh, they
Oh,
can say hi to each other. This is Luna. She's an angel too.
oh,
She's my emotional support animal. But yeah, she's been very helpful through all this. She's the reason why I'm able to use my back door again. She's very, very healing.
okay.
Um, but anyways, we also have a GoFundMe if anyone is wanting to help in that way. I use most of the GoFundMe money, posters and laminating sheets. I've bought new laminators. I'm wanting to buy a bulk amount of t-shirts that I can start giving away to people just to help get Andrea's name out there more. We're planning on also getting a 1-800 number, like an anonymous tip
Okay.
line. Our PI is no longer able to help. We're wanting to get that set up. And that would be something we would use the GoFundMe for.
We can actually do that pretty easily if you wanted to do it with like even a a Google phone number. And then if
Okay.
people wanted to either text or call in, then they could just leave an anonymous voicemail or anything.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much. Um, I'm not really great with that type of thing. So if you're able to give me some tips on how to get all that set up, I would love to hear about that for sure. Thank you so much.
Sure, you bet. Right.